Yes. So you're the host.
All right. All right. There we go. Cooking with gas. All right. Okay. So with that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. And let's see. You should be able to
Got
see.
you.
You can see my
Yeah,
screen.
yes, we see it now.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So tonight, guys, I'm going to be talking about how to build wealth using personal and business credit. And so hopefully, like I said before, we'll be able to answer some of the questions that you have related to both. And so hopefully I've been able to anticipate some of the questions that you have. And so we're going to get started. So I want to ask, hopefully, guys, you'll be able to stick around to the very end because I have something very special for you at the very end of this presentation. So again, today we're going to be talking about how to build wealth using personal and business credit. So some of you may be asking, well, who the heck is this guy and why should I even be listening to him? So just very quickly, my name again is Alex B. Jones. I've been in the beauty industry or was in the beauty industry for 23 years. Prior to working in the beauty industry, I actually used to be in corporate America. And I spent several years there working as a corporate auditor in the area of finance. And so how I got that was what I was actually doing before I came to the beauty industry. So I really wanted to be able to come to the beauty industry using my business experience, my business knowledge, and be able to bring it to the industry, hopefully to provide better service for customers and clients, and also to be able to provide some exceptional salon experiences for my clients and guests. And so, as you guys can see here, I wrote the book, The Six Figure Salonpreneur, which is an Amazon #1 bestseller, as you can see right there in the right-hand side of the screen. I have since retired in 2018, and I am now a personal finance educator. I'm a licensed insurance advisor, business coach and consultant, and wealth strategist. So, um, so I, so my experience, the things I share with you are actually from being in the industry, being tied to the industry. So I know exactly what these things are like and how to apply these things within your business. So I also got or was able to secure 2 business loans to start my first salon business. The picture you see on the left-hand side is actually the first salon business, the first salon that I had, that I opened. It's a 2-story house, as you can see. And man, that was in 1997. I was able to get in there, had a great group of people, and within 2.5 years, we were really able to turn that business or turn it into a 6-figure plus business. And then some years later, as you can see, I have my third salon that I opened, which was Revive Salon, and I actually secured a business loan for that salon as well. So the information I'm sharing with you is something that I was definitely able to use and to put into practice in my own business and being able to secure business loans. So who's this talk for? So if you happen to be someone who has a credit score that's less than 680, the world won't come to an end. Don't worry about it. This information is definitely for you. It's going to help you. If you've ever been turned down for an auto loan or had an auto loan that was priced, the interest rate and the terms were just so high that it just made it unbearable to think that anybody would go for those terms. If you've ever been denied a mortgage, can't get a credit card, or can't get insurance at a decent price, this is definitely for you. If you would like to purchase a home or rental property, if you want to be able to buy another car, if you want to be able to get access to credit cards, HELOCs, home equity lines of credit, or personal lines of credit, or you just want to be able to access credit to be able to grow your business, this is definitely going to help you. So what am I going to cover in this talk very quickly? I'm going to share with you what are credit scores for those of you who may not be quite so sure. I'm going to share with you how they're calculated. And Karen, if anytime you want to be able to jump in, just let me know, okay?
I'm a, I'm a student.
So hey, we all got some experiences here that we can all that we can all learn from. So no worries. If you want to, I'm also going to cover why having good personal and business credit is essential to building wealth. I'm going to share with you the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to using credit. I'm going to also share some of the fastest ways to increase your credit scores, and I'm going to also share with you how to use your business and personal credit to build wealth or to build a stronger business. So let's start off first. What are credit scores? Credit scores essentially is a mathematical number. It's a formula, okay, that is used to in some way predict or depict a consumer's credit worthiness. How worthy are they? How likely are they to pay back the loan once I extend them some credit? And that's what a credit score is. Obviously, the higher the credit score, the higher the number, the more attractive you are as a borrower. And who's using that information? We have lenders, we have employers, insurance companies, landlords, utility companies, telephone companies. There are tons of people who are looking at and accessing your credit history and credit information to determine whether or not you're someone that they want to be able to extend credit to, if they want to be able to give a job to, if you want to be able to get insurance rates. Your credit scores are just yet another way that someone is able to use or have some more information to make a determination as to whether or not you're someone that they can extend credit or extend service to, and that you're going to meet the terms, okay? So where is this credit information? All right. So I want to share with you that there are three major consumer credit bureaus. There are three major ones. There's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. But there are also other lesser known credit bureaus. You have Sage, CoreLogic. Those are some of the other ones that also keep information about your rental payment history, your mortgage payment history, how well you pay your cell phone bill. There are all sorts of databases that have information regarding how you pay your bills. Now, as it relates to business credit, there are also three major business credit bureaus, and that's Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. As you can see, TransUnion is not a part of that, okay? And so this is where this information about you, about your payment history, is housed and kept. And that is where your credit report and credit profile is, okay? All right, so now, moving on. There are actually several different credit scores, okay? You have FICO, you have Credit Karma, you have Credit Wise, you have Vantage, you have any number of companies, okay, who are trying to create their own mathematical score to show creditors and also give you an opportunity to figure out exactly where you stand, where you are, how to improve your credit scores and the like, okay? And so FICO credit score, FICO is actually a credit score that's created by the Fair Isaac Corporation, okay? Now, they are the 800-pound gorilla in the room because most of the companies, most of the lenders use the FICO score, okay? They use the FICO score. So sometimes people say, hey, I got Credit Karma, my Credit Karma score is this, or my Vantage score is this. And while that gives you some insight as to where you stand and how you might be able to improve your credit scores and what's affecting them, the FICO is the one that you really, really want to pay attention to because that's the one that most lenders use, okay? And even within FICO, FICO has different scoring models, okay? They have FICO scoring models for mortgage companies. They have different scores for auto loans, different scores for personal loans and credit cards. And so one of the things that you have to know is when it comes time for you to actually start applying for credit, and you're kind of thinking about it, you want to understand what information are they going to be accessing. The people that you're looking to borrow money from, you want to understand, hey, are you going to pull a credit report from Experian? Are you going to get one from Credit Karma? Well, where are you going? I mean, from TransUnion. Where exactly are you going to get it from? And also, you want to know what scoring model. Just recently for 2020, FICO has just come out with what they call FICO 10. FICO 10. And FICO 10 has a different, FICO 10 is going to use different inputs, different information differently. They're constantly coming up with ways to try to figure out how to, game the system, how to change things up a little bit more, how to make something a little bit more predictive about who you are and your ability or willingness to pay back a loan. Okay, so we're going to get into that a little bit more here in a moment. So first of all, how is your credit score calculated? They obviously are not going to tell you exactly how it's done because obviously they don't want you to game the system. Okay, that's just how it works. But you can, but you do have some broad understanding of how your credit score is calculated. So most credit scores range from 300 to 850. Okay, 300 to 850. There's you do have one credit score that starts at 250 and it goes up to 900, but don't worry about that one. Most of your credit score ranges are going to be between 300 to 850. Okay. Now it is possible to not have a credit score whatsoever. So if you're someone who's never had credit, never been issued credit before, then it's quite possible that you don't have a credit score at all. Now, how are these credit scores calculated? 35% of your score is going to come from your payment history. Have you made all of your payments on time or not? Okay, so 35% of your score, the bulk of your score is going to come from whether or not you make payments on a timely basis. So that's the reason why it's so critical and important that you make sure that you pay things on time. Okay, pay things on time. The next largest category is credit utilization. And credit utilization simply means if you have revolving credit, and this is as it relates to revolving credit, which would be store credit cards or bank credit cards or charge cards, okay? Based on what your credit limit is, they look at how much of your credit limit you are using, okay? For example, if your credit limit is at $1,000 on this particular credit card, if you spend over $300, that's where you start to get into the to caution, and the further you go up, then it turns a red flag. Okay, so anything that's over 30% in this case, if your credit limit is $1,000. If you spend more than $300 and don't pay it down before your due date or statement date, then they're gonna kind of ding you a little bit. Okay, so you never want to go above 30% of your credit, available credit. Okay, but 30% of your score is gonna come from how much of your credit limit you are using. The lower, the better. 15% is going to come from the length of credit that you have, okay? Your credit history. How long have you actually been accessing credit, okay? How many years, how many months, how long that's been. But then they're also going to factor in what they call the average age. So they'll take the average age of all of your accounts and divide them by the number, and they'll get an average score, okay? That makes up 15% of your score. 10% comes from how many credit inquiries you have, and then another 10% comes from account mix, meaning do you have revolving credit? Do you have installment credit? Do you have mortgage? Do you have auto? Do you have charge cards? So they want to see how you manage different types of credit, okay? Let me see. All right. So why is having good credit critical? Obviously, the biggest thing, and a lot of times this kind of gets into the debate whether or not it's best to be debt-free or to have credit. And this kind of gets into that debate a little bit. A lot of people like Dave Ramsey's and the like would tell you you want to be able to pay off all your debt. And I certainly get it. You definitely want to be able to reduce your debt as much as possible, okay? But having access, because you have good credit, means it puts you in a position to be able to buy large ticket items, large ticket purchases that can produce income for you, okay? Namely, as you can see, real estate, right? Do you want to sit there and wait until you saved up you might be debt free, but if you don't have enough cash to purchase real estate, right, to buy it cash, then you're in a bad spot, right? So that's where it really doesn't make sense unless you happen to be someone who has, if you have a high flow of cash coming in, okay? It's going to be a while before you're able to save up $100,000 or $150,000 to buy a home, right? Or you can have great credit, you can make a good down payment, and then you can begin to take advantage of, having a home for yourself, being able to buy rental property or commercial buildings that can produce some income for you. So having good credit, I believe, is actually more important than being debt-free, because still with you being debt-free, you still have to have the cash in order to buy what it is that you want to be able to buy. Good credit is also important because you're able to get loans at a cheaper rate. You're able to get better terms. Obviously, if you have good credit, some jobs require that you have good credit. Sometimes you can't get certain licenses because licenses and insurance, because maybe your credit rating isn't where it should be, and sometimes because credit can be sometimes a little low. You might have to pay for security deposits. But if you have great credit, you don't have to pay any, or you have to pay very little security deposits. Okay. Now, some of the biggest mistakes, and here are the 6 of the biggest ones. Some of the biggest mistakes we see people making when it comes to credit are, the first thing being not really being educated about credit and how it works. I actually used to sell cars. Okay, I used to be a car salesperson, and one of the things that actually surprised me was how often people came into the dealership and had no idea what their credit score is, hadn't looked at it, didn't know anything about where they stood from a credit perspective. And because they didn't know that, there were people who wound up buying vehicles with high interest rates, big down payments, all because they didn't understand that they were actually entitled to something better interest rates than what they signed up for. So being educated and knowing exactly how credit works, what lenders are looking for, where you stand, and how all this plays out is really, really important, because you want to make sure that you get everything that you're entitled to when it comes to your terms and making your down payment. The second mistake people make is not monitoring and reviewing their credit reports. And the reason why this is key is because it's not perfect, it's not accurate, and there are mistakes that might be in your credit report right now that's holding you back from being able to get access to the credit that you really want. And so you have to make sure that you are monitoring things, especially nowadays with as much data breaches there are out there, as many people as there are who breaking into, different places, stealing identity. You want to make sure that you are monitoring and reviewing your credit reports at a minimum at least once a year, and I really say more often than that. Okay. Number three, good debt turning into bad debt. What I mean by that is, if anybody's ever purchased a home before, you might have heard the realtor tell you, "Oh, you want to be able to get as much house as you possibly can now because over time your income is gonna go up, and you're gonna maybe start a family and blah blah blah." So in that situation, a lot of times, even I wound up doing it. I wound up buying more house than I needed. It was just me. I got this is back in the mid '90s. I got a 2,000 square foot house, and it's just me, and I'm always in the salon every day, right? So what I'm doing is I'm paying for more house than I really needed, being a single guy with no family, no kids, and just me. We do it all the time also with student loans. A lot of people have huge amounts of student loan because they tell you, "Oh, a student loan is good debt. Oh, it's good debt." Well, good debt can turn into bad debt. And what happens is, if you wind up borrowing too much and the job that you're looking for, the job that you want, isn't really going to pay you. It's going to pay you more because you have a degree, but it's not going to really pay you um, as much as you really should get for you to be able to live well and be able to pay that student loan debt back. That's when good debt turns into bad debt. When you take a good situation and you wind up overextending yourself, and it becomes a situation that's not quite so good, okay? Using credit to fund your lifestyle or buy depreciable assets. Depreciable assets being particularly, I'm talking about cars. Cars is one of the worst things that you can possibly buy on credit. And I get it, because we're not in a position to spend, tens, 15, 20, 30, $40,000 cash. I definitely get it. But what we wind up doing is, if we're taking our credit and we put it in assets that really take money out of our pocket each and every month, we're taking away from our ability to build wealth. And I'm going to share with you some things that you can do instead when it comes to buying cars. Obviously, paying late, as we can see, is a huge negative when it comes to your credit scores, and only paying the minimum. And the reason why only paying the minimum that's due is because that means you're going to wind up spending more or a longer amount of time trying to pay it off, and the whole time interest is being accrued on your account, okay? And so that means over time you're going to wind up paying a whole lot more interest over time. So this is just an example. Again, credit scores ranging from 800 down to 300, 850 being exceptional. You can see the breakouts here. But you can see over to the right, this can show you what some of what your credit scores can entitle you to. So say, for instance, you got 800, between 800 and 850, you can get a mortgage loan for as low as 3% now. That is crazy. That is unheard of, especially these days. Your auto loan could be, I'm showing 4%, but to be honest, you're talking about 1% or even 0%. Credit cards, 0% on your credit card, okay? And it just kind of goes up from there as your scores begin to, go lower and lower, all right? As you can see, credit cards, it can cost you 29% for a credit card, the lower your credit scores is. Auto loans, I've seen auto loans as much as 18%, 19%. That's in a dealership, but if you're paying in a buy here, pay here type lot, it's way more than that, right? So why is this important? Some of you obviously want to know. Obviously, better credit is going to get you access to being able to buy a home for yourself, being able to buy rental property, being able to get the car that you want, or be able to get access to credit cards at a much lower rate. So this is me and my mom. My mom, I love my mom. So my mom, she was she had an older vehicle, but she knew that at some point she was going to have to buy another one. So mom started saving up for her car. And so she started saving. She was putting away a little bit each month, each month, each month. Well, she got to a place where she was like, okay, Al, I'm ready to buy a car. She was going to pay cash for a car. She wanted a certain type of vehicle, and she was going to pay cash for it. And so I was like, hold up, wait a minute. I was like, we ain't doing that, right? Because once you take the cash, again, cash is king, but once you take the cash and you give it to them, it's gone. That's it. And all you've done is you just taken cash and you've exchanged it for a car, for a vehicle, for an asset that's going to depreciate over time. So I said, Mom, what we're going to do is this. We're going to buy the car. You're not going to pay anything down. You're not going to finance. You're not going to give them any of your cash. She was able to walk away with buying the car. She put no money down, and she had 0% interest. Zero. They charged her nothing. So she got free money. She got money from Mazda to pay for the car, and she's now paying them on a monthly basis, and she kept her money, and her money is now making money for her. That's the difference, guys. That is the difference. Okay. Let me see if are there some questions in the chat. I don't know if I can. Do we have any questions in the chat? All right. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. I'll go through and cycle through the questions a little bit later. So just to give you a real quick example. So let's just say, for instance, we're buying a house for $200,000. We're buying a car for $30,000, and we have the average amount of credit that we have on the credit card, which is $6,000. Because if you're at the top level, guess what? For your house, you're going to be able to save $51,000 if you have excellent credit. Okay, so you can see it over to the left here. For this car, for the vehicle, like I said, my mom was able to, her car payment is $500 a month. She paid 0 down, 0 interest. She kept her money. But if she did not have good credit, she would have paid 10%, and her payment would have been $685. Okay, so she would have spent $11,000 more for that car over a 5-year loan. Over here, with your credit card, that $6,000, you would wind up paying $8,000 in interest, plus the balance. So we're really talking about $14,000. You'll wind up paying $14,000 over the life of this credit card payment if you just made the minimum monthly payment of $240. Okay? So what I'm saying is this, how we begin to be able to build wealth. When you have good credit or better credit, this money that would normally be flowing out of your pocket, this $51,000 is money that would be coming out of your pocket and going into their pocket, going into the bank's pocket. Why? Because you were able to get qualified for the loan, but because you didn't have a higher credit limit, you wound up having to pay more interest because you had either greater down payment or because your interest rate was higher. But let's just say, for instance, you have great credit. Now, if we're able to take this $51,000 over the life of your loan, take this $11,000 for this one car, and this $8,000 of interest, that would have been going out to somebody else. That's $71,000 that we wound up spending and giving them, right? All because we're not checking our credit scores. We're not making sure that we are doing everything we can to make our credit scores higher. But just imagine if we took that $71,000 and invested it at 8% over a 30-year period, we're looking at almost $400,000. Now we're just talking about, I'm not talking about, finding more money. I'm not talking about saving more money. I'm not talking about doing anything any different, but getting your credit scores up, getting better interest rates for your house, your car, and your credit card. And then you take the amount of money that you would have paid out, right? You save that money and you invest it at 8%. Now we're talking about $400,000 that you have, when ordinarily that would have been money going out your pocket. I don't know about you, but that excites me, okay? Because there are so many people right now, because of this pandemic, who wasn't able to just kind of sit back and chill and not worry and just kind of protect your family, because we had to get back to work because we didn't have money saved. And some of it is because we wound up paying more in interest because we weren't looking at our credit scores, we weren't looking at interest rates, we didn't understand how those things relate to one another, so we can start saving some money. Okay, so let's just say, for instance, you got better credit, and you look at it and you say, hey, I got a primary residence here, a house that I'm living in. You got better credit. Guess what? You can turn around and you can take some of the equity from your primary residence. Okay, you can turn around and buy a house. You may be able to find a house, and this is happening every single day. Okay, you're able to buy a house for maybe $110,000, if not less. But we're going to say $110,000. We're going to say after that, after you buy it, the house has $140,000 market value. $140,000 market value. Because you have good credit, it only will require you to pay $5,000 down. Okay. Now you're looking at a monthly payment of $493 a month. We're talking about $500 a month. But you're able to rent that house out now for $1,000. So that means your monthly cash flow is $500 a month. Now come on. All you did was keep a good credit. Find a home that you could purchase for below market value. Take that house, make sure that it was rent ready. Find a great tenant to put in it, and all you're doing is renting it out. That's it. For doing that, now you're actually clearing $500 a month. Now you want to turn around and you want to say, hey, you want to be able to buy a car? Guess what? Now the house is buying your car, not you. You don't have to get up every single day. You don't have to go into the salon. You don't have to go out and get a part-time job. You don't have to do any. What you did was you took money from your primary residence and you put it into a rental property. And then you turned around and you rented it out, and the cash flow is buying your car. See, that makes all the difference, guys. So now what you have is you have two properties. Both properties are, obviously they're building equity. One of them, somebody else is paying down the mortgage, so they're building equity for you. The value is increasing. You're getting $500. You're clearing $500 a month from one of the rental properties, and now you're able to either use that money to buy another car, or you're able to do what? Buy another rental property, rinse and repeat. Guys, you only have to do this, what, 4 or 5 times before all of a sudden now you're clearing $2,000, $2,500 a month. And guess what? Now you don't have to do as many heads in the salon. Now you don't have to sit there and service as many customers and clients, because you got this cash flow coming in. That's how you begin to take the credit and be able to turn it into, use it wisely by buying assets that produce income for you, and then you're able to let that begin to um, fund your lifestyle. That's the difference, guys. That's how you use credit smartly in order to be able to get what it is that you want. So I had a couple questions. Someone wanted to know, hey, Alex, how do you establish good credit? So if you're someone who's never had credit before and you need to establish good credit, here's exactly how you go about doing it, okay? Number one, you want to be able to ask a parent or someone who trusts you, not who you trust, but somebody who trusts you, okay? See if they will allow you to be what's called an authorized user. If that parent or someone who trusts you would sign you up to be an authorized user, that suddenly means their credit history will go on your credit profile. Your credit history doesn't affect theirs, okay? As an authorized user, it just simply says, hey, I am authorized to make purchase on this particular person's account, okay? They don't have to give you the card. You don't have to have the card. They can say you can be an authorized user, but you don't get a card, okay? That's one way of adopting somebody else's credit history. That's the reason why sometimes we see kids, some of our wealthier people, you know what I'm saying? Kids who are 18, 19 years old, they got 800 credit score. Why? Because their parent made them an authorized user. The parent didn't co-sign, the parent made them an authorized user on their account. So that their parents' credit history became their son or daughter's credit history. Real quick, guys. Those things happen very quickly. Number two, get a secure credit card. There are secure credit cards out there where you can have balances or deposits as low as $100. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a lot of a high credit limit. It's just being able to have something on your credit profile, and they want to be able to see how you use it. Okay, so you can get a secure credit card. You can get what's called a credit builder personal loan account. Credit builder accounts, generally, they don't check your credit for those things, okay? And so what's happening is they have created, you create what's called a savings account. And what you do, every time you make a payment, a monthly payment into that savings account, okay, that gets reported to the credit bureaus. And then once you reach the target, if it's $500 or $1,000, once you've made those monthly payments on time and you've reached the amount that you said that you want to get to, say for instance $500, then guess what? That money gets released to you, and you have satisfied your credit builder loan. And all the while those payments were being made, they were being reported to your to the credit bureaus. Okay, great way to build up credit profile. Obviously, you never want to use more than 30% of your credit limit on your credit card, secured or unsecured. You want to be able to pay in full each month if possible. If not, you want to, of course, make sure you make the minimum payment, and you want to make it on time. Set up automatic payments so you never miss a payment. Extremely, extremely important. And obviously, as you're building up and once you start getting good credit, never co-sign a loan for somebody else. All right, just a word of advice there. All right, so that's how you establish good credit if you don't have a credit history. Okay, so how do you repair and restore bad credit? Okay, and let me just say, guys, hey, there have been times that I've made some choices. Like I said before, you buy big houses, you buy expensive cars, and those things sometimes you learn you learn from your mistakes. So how do we take and repair bad credit? Number one, the first and the fastest way to repair bad credit, is to pay down your credit card balance. That is the fastest way. So again, if you have a credit card, again, if it's $1,000 and you say, for instance, you've charged up $500 out of that 1,000, you would think, that's not bad. But the credit bureaus are looking at it like, yo, that's 50%. So their concern is the higher and higher you go up, why are they charging so much? We're getting a little concerned that they may be about to miss their payments, right? So if you stay under your 30% credit limit, that's the sweet spot, 30% or less. So if you pay those things down, if you're above 30%, you'll see your score skyrocket. Okay. Of course, you want to be able to make all your payments going forward and make them on time. The next thing you want to do is you want to be able to add good accounts to your credit profile. Good accounts in this case would be, like I said, if you can become an authorized user on someone else's account, meaning their good credit history on that particular credit card would then be put onto your credit profile. That helps you. Doesn't hurt them, it helps you. Good accounts, again, secured credit cards for yourself, then secured loans, such as your credit builder loans, those things work great. You want to be able to add as many of those good accounts onto your credit profile as possible. Fourth, get mistakes and bad stuff off or get it deleted. Bad stuff, I'm talking about collections, bankruptcies, old negative accounts, mistakes, missed payments, judgments. Guys, these are things that you can actually have removed from your credit profile if you know how to do them, if you know which ones are the right ones to tackle and which ones aren't. A lot of times people will say, how can you get a bankruptcy off? Or how can you get a judgment off? The courts don't report to the credit bureau. So any information that's being reported from a court in terms of judgment, the court didn't put it there. All right. So what I'm saying is, wink, wink, wink. If you go through the process the right way, you can challenge that and have that deleted, because the judgment wasn't put there if in fact is showing that was a public record that the court put on your credit profile. So things like that, you want to be able to know exactly what is this, where did it come from, how did it get here, and then you begin to look and research. How is it reported? How should it be reported? Where are the mistakes? Where are the loopholes? Those are the things that you want to look for. If you have collection accounts, you want to be able to negotiate what's called pay for deletion. People will tell you, never pay a collection account unless you have already negotiated and gotten in writing that once you pay X, Y, and Z, that this particular account will be deleted. If you don't have anything like that in writing, in letterhead, don't pay it. Don't pay it, because there are so many things that can happen as a result of that. If it's been sitting on your account, on your credit report, we'll say for 6 years, and you happen to be in a state that says, hey, you got 7 years before this old negative account has to come off. If you wind up making a payment on that collection account, you actually restart the clock, okay? And so you might be at six years, right? And you only have 1 more year to go, or 1 year and 6 months to go before that account falls off. If you make a small payment, guess what? That re-ages the account. It's things like that we have to be mindful of. So negotiating pay for deletion, that's absolutely important. To repair and restore, you want to make sure that you choose your lenders very carefully. I would say everyone, if possible, needs to be a part of a credit union. Credit unions and community banks tend to be a little bit better, a little bit easier when it comes to their lending requirements. You're able to build a better relationship with them. You know, if you're trying to, build a relationship with Bank of America and Wells Fargo, man, they too big. They looking at you like, go on now, we ain't got no time, go on. But see, if you're working with some of these smaller community banks, guess what? You might be able to build a better relationship with them. And so now they're able to see what you're doing with your accounts. They're able to see how you're saving, how you're managing your credit. And those things, trust me, having a relationship makes a big difference. And then finally, don't close old good accounts. Sometimes people will say, well, you know what, I'm not using that account anymore. That might be fine, but if it's a good account, don't close it, because that good account, if it has a long history associated with it, it is factoring in your favor favorably, okay? Because it said, hey, here's one good long account that this person has. So it's helping you in that case. All right. So just very quickly, how I'm using credit during this pandemic. Now, I've been able to secure new credit, right, to that I'm at a lower interest rate that I'm able to use to pay off more expensive credit. Stuff that had a higher interest rate, I'm able to access new credit to be able to pay off that stuff, and I'm able to have interest or have new money at 3% now versus 6%, 9%, right? I've been able to improve my cash flow, my monthly cash flow, by an extra $400. This is money I don't have to pay out anymore, right? Because I've rearranged these different credit obligations. So that $400 now can go into my investment accounts. And so I've also been able to access an additional $50,000 of credit line and cash that's putting me in a position to be able to buy some properties, because we know during this pandemic and during this time, people are going to, unfortunately, they're gonna wind up foreclosing. I hate to say it, but it's an opportunity for those who actually have positioned themselves, those who have money, who are set aside, who's sitting there and looking for a great deal. And it's the nature of how things is, but you can definitely use credit to be able to take advantage during these times. So I said a lot. Karen, how does it sound so far? You have any questions?
This is good. I did see 2 questions in the chat.
Okay.
Somebody asked, what is the best way to pay off your credit cards?
Gotcha. So the question is, I'm assuming
they already have credit cards, I'm thinking,
right,
and then they want to get them paid off.
So I'm like, well, just pay them off. No, I don't want to sound like that. Well, one of the things that you could do, okay, is if you do have access to other credit, sometimes what you're able to do is you're able to go ahead and get new credit to pay off the old credit, especially if it has a higher interest rate. Is that making sense? So, yes. So now, like I said, that's one of the things that I did. I had a loan, had some loan out there that I was like, hey, you know what? I got a cheaper rate now at 3% that's allowing me to pay off this other loan at 9%. So now I'm able to take that money, pay it off. Now I'm only paying 3% as opposed to 9%. Now, so that's one of the ways to do it. The flip side of it, if this is a revolving account, if this is a credit card account, one of the things that you could do is, if you have a good payment history, you could ask them to increase your limit. So if it's about your credit utilization, keeping your credit utilization low, then sometimes what you're able to do is, if you're able to increase your credit limit, then overall that reduces your credit utilization. So that's a second way to do it. In terms of being able to pay some things off. Um, other than that, it's just being able to, of course, look for opportunities to increase your cash flow, to be able to use that money to pay the higher interest rate credit cards or debt off first, and just keep working down that way. Some people use that idea of paying the lowest balance off first. And that really goes back to what kind of person you are. Do you need to see, do you need to have that kind of a win to feel good and to keep going? If so, I take the smallest balance that you have and start throwing everything to it first, right? But if you're somebody who's like, you know what, I don't need that, I'm good. I just want to be able to do the one that's going to be the best one financially, then that might be to tackle the one that has the highest interest rate first. Okay. So those are a couple of different ways to do it. You had another question? Was there another question?
We had one more. The other question was, how do you remove bad credit payment, a bad credit payment history? So if you got say if you had a car and you had several missed
payments on that, yep. And so so one of the things that you can do with that is what's called a your goodwill letters. You want to be able to write what's called a goodwill letter. And so essentially what you're doing is never admit fault, never say you missed it, okay? Don't say that. You just say that this is how it's reported. And what you're now doing is you're saying that you're just stating, hey, I was not 30 days late. I was not 60 days late, whatever it is. And so what they're going to do is they're going to go through the process and they're going to determine whether or not, if in fact you were.
Hey, how are you?
If you were not documentation that shows that you weren't late, then that's obviously going to be helpful in your favor. Now you have two different ways that you can approach this. You can approach the company who's reporting it, or you can approach the credit bureau, okay? So you got two different ways that you can approach this. And I would say actually try both, okay? So if it doesn't work with the company itself, then by putting in a dispute directly with the credit bureau, then they have to go and change it. And if like what some people were doing is they were using the pandemic, for instance, because people were working from home, right? And business were kind of slow and kind of shut down. People were actually putting in their disputes during this pandemic time because companies were less able to respond to all the different debt validations and all the disputes that they had. So they were actually able to kind of get some things slid through because they knew that it was going to be difficult from a workflow standpoint for some of these companies to be able to respond within the appropriate amount of time, if that makes sense. So let's see. So I'm gonna talk a little bit.
If you guys have a question, maybe just unmute your mic to ask them the question, and then after mute it back.
Okay. I can see it. See, that's good. That's the best way. Yep. So Ms. Belton asked, do you start from smallest to largest? And that goes back to, more or less, what kind of person, what kind of personality you have. Are you the kind of person that needs to see that kind of a small win to kind of keep going and keep moving? Some people need that. And if that's the case, paying off that small balance would probably work better. But financially, if you don't need to have that, and if you just want to be able to know what's going to make the best financial decision for it, it may be tackling the one with the highest interest rate first. So those are some of the things, depending on, your personality and what you need, those things that make a difference. Let's see, correction. If you bought a property. Okay, I'm looking at Miss Wells' question. If you bought property, owner's financial can report. I'm not sure if I understand that question. Okay, good question. Trail wanted to know, so say you are using the equity in your current home for investment property, or are you just getting a line of credit? The great thing, Trail, if you're able to get a HELOC, that's your home equity line of credit, that's actually better than borrowing the money, because if you borrow the money, the moment you pull the money out of your home, the equity out of your home, then you're going to be charged on that interest the moment that you pull it out and they give it to you and they fund it. But if you are able to get a line of credit, right, then that way you actually are only going to be charged when you use the line of credit. Okay, so I think that's a good question. I think it's smarter to just use the line of credit, to get a line of credit, a HELOC. And then that way, when you find a property, you're able to access that credit when you need it, as opposed to, pulling some money out and have it sitting there in cash. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna talk a little bit, very quickly. I'm gonna talk a little bit about consumer versus business credit. Okay. And with business credit, this is a little bit different. The process is a little bit different. Okay. And as I said before, I was able to secure a couple of business loans to fund 2 of the salons that I had, that I owned and operated. So obviously, with your consumer credit is based on your personal credit history and your personal information that's tied to your Social Security number. Your business credit, on the other hand, is going to be based on a totally separate, legally established business entity. Okay, and you're going to be looking at that business entity's credit history and business information, and that's going to be tied to what's called a federally issued EIN number. EIN number. Okay, and so the first things first. How do you actually legally establish a business entity, and what do you mean by that? So if you're operating a business, okay, and if you're operating a business as a sole proprietor, that means that it is flowing, the money that you generate and you create, you're operating that business, and that money is flowing to you personally. It's flowing to your business, it's flowing to your account. It could even be flowing to a business checking account, but it has your Social Security number on it. Okay? So in that instance, you are the business. Okay? You are what's called a sole proprietorship. Now, to establish a totally a legal business entity, you want to be able to separate those things as much as possible. Okay? So the first thing that you could do, the easiest thing to do, is you can operate your business as a sole proprietor, okay? But you have an EIN number, okay? And EIN number. You have an EIN number that's issued to you from the federal government. It's free. All you have to do is just apply for it. You get an EIN number, and then you use that number as your business's Social Security number. Okay, so you can have, when you operate your business as a sole proprietor, doing business as Michelle's Boutique. I'm Michelle Jones, but I'm operating my business as Michelle's Beauty Boutique. Okay, and Michelle's Beauty Boutique has a totally separate EIN number that, and I'm not using my Social Security number for that. Okay, so that's how you can set up, first of all, sole proprietorship, doing business as, but you have to have an EIN number for that. Okay, the next level up would be creating an LLC. An LLC is going to require you to fill out the required paperwork, and you're going to have to submit that paperwork to your state. Okay, to your state, to the state where you want to be able to be incorporated. You have to file the appropriate paperwork with them, pay the appropriate fee, whatever that is for them, and then establish your LLC. Do you hold your first meeting? Blah, 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 blah. And voila. Now you have a limited LLC that has an EIN number, okay? Not your social, okay? And now that is your business entity. Or you can create a subchapter S corporation or chapter C corporation. So the difference is there. You don't really want to do a C corporation because it's more expensive. So you don't really want to do that. But a subchapter S corporation is essentially where you are still a sole proprietor, but you are operating as a corporation that obviously has an EIN number associated with it. Okay, so your subchapter S corporation is it's like the best of both worlds. You're a sole proprietor, but you actually own and operate a corporation, an S corporation. Okay, so for me, when I established my business, I actually did the LLC because it's cheaper. You don't have to jump through as many hoops. In North Carolina, you actually had to file, you had to pay on an annual basis to keep your LLC in effect. In South Carolina, where I live now, you only pay one time. So you have to kind of know which one is going to work best for you, what are the fees associated with it, and what things you need to do to keep it enforced. Because if you don't, they'll dissolve your corporation, okay? So why would you want to do that? Why is that important for you? So here are 4 reasons why you want to be able to establish business credit. Number one, your personal credit might not be the best, all right? So by establishing business credit, you might be able to establish business credit for yourself quicker than you could if you were trying to repair your personal credit. So this might be a way to kind of give yourself a second chance, so to speak. Having business credit might entitle you to higher credit limits, especially if your business is operating and is bringing in a lot more cash flow than you are showing on your personal finances. Remember, personal and your business are separate. So your business might be cash flowing a lot better than you are personally, okay? And because you have more money coming through, your business might entitle you to higher credit limits. You might be able to get loans without having to personally guarantee those business loans. And another reason why you want to be able to, in some instances, you might want to protect your personal assets, during bankruptcy or legal judgment. Okay, so those are some reasons why you want to be able to establish your business credit instead of your personal credit. So what's possible with that? Obviously, access to capital to grow your business. I was able to purchase the new equipment that I needed to open my business, to make capital improvements to the building. You might even be able or want to buy a building for your business. You might be able to, you might want to create an LLC that's related to just real estate. So you can use that to actually buy your rental properties. So this is a great way for you to be able to take advantage of the tax laws, number one. Number two, for you to be able to separate yourself from a legal and judgment standpoint. And then number three, after your business is seasoned a while, now you may be in a position where you're able to do it off the strength of your business and don't have to put any type of personal guarantees in place for that. So how do you do that? How do you do business credit? Like I said, the process is a little bit different. As you can see, first of all, Experian, Equifax, and Dun & Bradstreet are the three that you will work through. TransUnion doesn't get involved in this whole process. Number two, get your EIN number. It's free from the government, okay? Number three, file your paperwork with your state to establish your business as an LLC, S or C Corp. Number four, once you get your EIN number and you have your paperwork that comes back from the state, you take that paperwork, you open up your business banking account. Number five, get you a landline. You can't have a cell phone listed as your telephone number. They got to be able to Google you. They got to be able to find you. They got to make sure that you legit, and that this ain't some kind of side hustle. Oh, she still, she say she business, but I don't know. You need to have a landline telephone number, website for your business. Once you have all of those things, you can do all of those things, and that'll help you establish through Experian and Equifax. In order for you to be able to get set up with Dun & Bradstreet, you're going to have to apply for a DUNS number, okay, through Dun & Bradstreet. Then once you start doing all of those things, once you've done all of those things, now you want to start applying for trade lines. Trade lines is the same thing as credit for personal. Trade lines is what they call credit for your business, okay? Same thing. And of course, you want to be able to make sure that you're paying things on time and you let it season. Remember I said before, having a relationship with credit unions and consumer banks, small community banks, those things make a difference, because you might be able to, because you have a personal relationship with this bank or credit union, now they might be able to say, hey, oh, I know so-and-so, I know Tina, and she's been banking with us for years. Maybe her mortgage is with us. Maybe one of her car loans or credit card or what have you is with us. Now that you have your business established and you want to be able to start getting business credit, that person might say to you, hey, you know what? Let me pull you aside. Let me help you out here. That person might say, let me go ahead and issue you a small credit card for your business credit, and it begins to start there. And so people sometimes have the question, how do you begin to separate your business from your personal? My first business loan, I had to actually, even though it was a business loan, I still had to put my home up for collateral, okay? Because they looked at it and said, hey, you just getting started, bruh. We don't know you like that. We like what you're doing. We like your history so far. But you know what? We're going to feel much more comfortable if you put up some collateral. I had to put my home up, okay? It was still a business loan, all right? The second time I got a loan, I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to put up any of those things, okay? But that was also because I went to the same people that I had my first loan for, that I never missed a payment. So for them, they were like, hey, this guy is proven. He has a track record. He's already shown us he can borrow money from us and pay us back and didn't miss a payment. We don't know. He's good. He good, okay? And so that's how you're able to help get your business account and business credit. That's how you're able to get those things where they're able to season a lot quicker, because you have relationships that you built on the personal side. Now, I know this is a lot of information that I'm sharing with you guys. So let's see. All right. Do you have any questions so far? Karen, you staying with me? You doing good?
I am.
Karen's like, ooh, boy. Let's see.
No, Karen is writing.
Oh, Karen, right? Okay. Let's see. So, okay, this Miss Lewis says she was able to get by her salon building. She was actually able to make the arrangements with the owner. So it was an owner financed deal, which is cool. So she wants to know, can she report that to the credit bureau? You actually should be able to report that to the credit bureau. They have programs where you can. Are you making rent payments right now, or are you actually making mortgage or note payments? Okay, and so sometimes you're going to be able to go to people like Experian. Experian has this program called Boost, where you're able to actually self-report certain items and certain things. So Boost is a good way to do that through Experian. Okay, mortgage payments. There is a way that you can actually self-report if this gentleman isn't doing it for you. Ms. Wells, if I make a note, I'll look it up and make sure I get back to you. But there is a way that you can self-report some of these things that you're doing in terms of mortgage payments, rent payments, telephone payments, utility payments. All these things can be factored into your credit profile as well. Okay.
You were correct. It's through Boost.
Okay. It is through Boost. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some other ones as well. One that is directly related to rents. Um, so those are some of the ones that are specific to certain things. But I'll make sure I look those up and see if I can provide you with that information. So yeah, so let's see here. So those are some of the reasons why you certainly want to be able to separate your business from your personal credit. So let me ask you a question. How many people feel comfortable with doing all of these things with your business and personal credit? I know it gets to be a real challenge. I've been spending a lot of time um, looking at the ins and outs, learning how to do this, learning the appropriate way, the right way to go about getting the results that you want. And this is taking decades. Okay, this has been years in the process of learning how all of these things work, both on the professional, on the personal, on the business side. This is definitely been a learning process. Like I said before, they're always changing things. So that happens as well. Let's see, we had a question. Miss Ramona raised her hand. Miss Ramona? How do we click on her?
Can you unmute yourself, Ramona? Look down on the. You
Okay.
My
question was, how you doing? I appreciate everything that you're saying.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Thank you so much. What are your thoughts on refinancing to get better interest rate? Like, I have a car loan that I paid off one car, but one car I still have payments on, and I've just made a year.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know thoughts on refinancing that.
Definitely, definitely. If you're in a place now where you're able to get better rate, right now, I would say definitely do it. You've made the year mark already, and typically what people say is, a little caveat. So obviously you want to be able to kind of know where you are in terms of the car's value versus the loan amount, that's the loan balance. And you want to be able to kind of see, if those things are kind of right there together. Because if the value of the car is too far below below the balance, your loan, that's called underwater. And sometimes they may not be so, excited about, about refinancing at that point. But generally speaking, if you've if your car's balance is right about the same amount as what it would be, your payoff amount, then you might be able to secure a better loan. But you definitely want to be able to look at your car's value and the balance to make sure that those things are kind of right there together. But I would say certainly if you can do it, obviously it's smart to do it, because you never want to spend more in interest than you have to. Yep. So did you wind up putting money down on the vehicle when you bought it? Okay. So yeah, so that certainly helps, because you bought down the the amount that you had to finance on the vehicle. So yeah, I would say if you're at a position, if they're both right there together, and if they're able to finance you, I'd say go ahead and do it. If you don't have a relationship with a credit union, I would say those credit unions, man, they're just different from big banks and big car finance companies. And sometimes that definitely helps out a lot in terms of being able to maneuver and do things a little bit different. So 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 going over all of these all of these things, I know that sometimes it can be a lot. Sometimes we either have a challenge of not having credit, or we might be in a position where we have to start saying, okay, I gotta reboot and reassess and rebuild my credit. And so I certainly know how that turns out. So I have a real quick question for you. How many people um, feel really comfortable going through this process, or how many people would really would like to say, hey, Alex, you know what, I like to have a step-by-step system that helps me, number one, to improve my business credit, and also establish business credit. Because sometimes we can make a mistake. Sometimes, like I said, going through all of these things takes me years and decades to figure this stuff out. But then again, there are times when that you can make a mistake or tackle the wrong accounts, and depending on how we approach it and how we process it, that will make it sometimes nearly impossible for us to remove certain negative items. Or we wind up talking to people and they're saying, oh, I'll fix your credit. I'll give you I'll sweep your credit and give you a CPN number. Listen, all those things, guys, are, those don't fall for that stuff. I mean, those are hard and fast ways that people try to game the system. And anytime somebody says, hey, I can fix your credit, do a credit sweep, all you have to do is file a police report. Now, you know what? Now we get into some fraudulent stuff, and that's not some place that we want to be. So I'm simply saying that the process is a way to do it. There's a way to do it legally. There's a way to do it the right way, in order that you be able to get the results that you want. And trust me, my credit hasn't always been great. So a lot of these things I've had to figure out on my own, and I've had to help other people do it. And so so I definitely know how these things work. And so if you want to know more, I see one person who wanted to know a little bit more. If you want to kind of know how this works step by step, I have a very, very simple plan for you that I'll share with you, because I said I had something at the end that I'll share with you. I have what is called my Perfect Score Credit Kit. And let me just share with you very quickly everything that's in this credit kit, okay? It's a lot. So as you can see, I'm gonna show you how you can get your free credit reports. Not Karma, not Credit Karma, not Vantage, none of that stuff. We're talking about real FICO scores, okay? I'm gonna show you how to get your FICO scores for free. The exact steps that you need to establish credit, how to legally and ethically finesse the credit scoring system so you know how to maneuver and raise your credit scores. We'll go through the 3 stages of credit repair and credit restoration. I'll show you how success strategies to remove negative items and collections from your credit profile. Remember earlier I talked about the goodwill letter to your creditors to remove late payments? You don't have to worry about trying to figure that out. I got it. How to get errors off your credit score, what errors to look for, what are the ones that you want to be able to tackle, which ones you don't want to mess with because they might be helping you and not hurting you. What's the difference between debt verification versus debt validation? Those things are 2 totally different animals. I walk you through the process and when you need to do one versus the other. Requesting debt validation for your collection agencies. I show you exactly how to do that. Debt validation letters for your original creditors. I have those written for you. Request a reinvestigation letter because this is a process. I show you how to request a reinvestigation. How to request reinvestigation from your creditor. How to do it yourself or pay for deletion letter. How to remove medical bills. How to request follow-up after a reinvestigation. All of these things, I'll show you, the statute of limitations on each debt for the state that you live in. Each state is a little bit different. Sometimes you may actually have may have accounts sitting on your credit profile that are actually old and should come off because they've passed the statute of limitation. I'll show you how to delete those things. How to stop harassing phone calls if you have people who are calling you. Got a letter for that. Show you how to protect your identity. Now, it'll show you exactly what mistakes to look for, which accounts to approach, which ones to leave alone, which accounts are past the statute of limitation, how to get collections, bankruptcies, and judgments removed, what to say in your letters. All of this stuff, guys, I'll show you exactly. And plus, what I'll also do is I'm gonna do a video training for you where I walk you through step by step how to establish business credit. Now, the great thing about it is all of these things that you see to the right, they have a value of $829. I'm not going to charge you $829, but this is all the stuff that you get. And guys, I'm not going to charge you $97, but guess what? Today, if you want to grab it with a 45-day guarantee, if you want to grab it, you can grab it for $47 today. And just so you'll know exactly what it is and what it looks like, let me see if I can. This is the 58-page guidebook right here, and this is going to walk you through everything. Tells you step by step where to get it, how to get it. Everything is right here. In addition to that, you might be thinking that you have to take what I've written and then you have to retype it. You don't have to do that. I actually have Word documents that you are then able to use, put in the appropriate information, and I have those things laid out for you. All you have to do is put in your information. You're able to put in the account information, who you're sending it to, read the steps, print it out, send it off. You don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to do it. I walk you through this stuff step by step, guys. Everything is here. And then as you are getting results back, as they are responding or not responding, you want them to not respond, then guess what? All of these letters you can see here, those are just screenshots. I have them in Word documents, so you don't have to type them up and print them out and all that other stuff. Okay. You got your credit improvement tracker, because you want to be able to track when you sent something off, who you sent it to, what item it was, how did they respond, what date it was, what results you got, what's your next item, what's your next action item to take. So now you have everything that you need in order to be able to accurately go through this entire process. In terms of knowing where to get your free credit reports, guess what? I got that for you. So all of this is actually included in this guide, guys. And I put it together because I wanted to make sure I knew exactly what I needed to do step by step when I was going through the process of repairing and fixing my credit. So this is a hard copy of it here, but 58 pages, but you also have some other inserts here. You have Word docs, so you don't have to print those out either. You don't have to worry about that. All those things are all ready for you. And as a bonus, like I said before, I'm gonna put together a video training where I'm actually gonna walk through the process where you can see me actually walk through and create a business entity, and you'll be able to see all the things that you need to do to create your business credit. There you have it, guys.
I think we all waiting on the cash out.
What? Hey, well, hey, I think I know how to do that. Shoot, do I know how to do? I think I know how to do that. There's actually a link. Let me put the link in there for you, and it has all the information in the link. And so there you have it. The link, alexbjones.com/credit. All the information is there. And like I said, it's been one of the best things. I still use this daily when I am working with other people to help them with their credit. Sharing, of course, obviously, information with people just to help them get better and better. It's a great resource to have, and you never have to worry about trying to go all over Google trying to figure stuff out, what do I do here? There's a lot of stuff out there online, boy, that's not right. So, but in any case, there you have it. It's the perfect score credit kit. You get the Word documents as well, so you don't have to type those out. All you got to do is put in the appropriate information, put in the account number, your name, address, all the things that's necessary, print them off, send them out there. One of the things I always caution people about is never try to do a dispute online. If you're going on Credit Karma, if you're doing some of those, using some of those online guys, that's nothing more than, to be honest, Credit Karma isn't, it's only set up to provide you some information in order so they can try to sell you, credit cards and some other stuff later on down the road. They do have dispute process in place, but those things never work well. It's all done by computer, and that's not what you want. You want to make sure that you're printing these letters off, you're sending them registered mail, so you'll know exactly when people got it. You'll have documentation, and they'll know, and you'll know exactly when they responded and when they didn't respond, because hopefully they don't respond. Because if they're not able to provide the information that you need in order to either validate that debt or verify that information, if they can't do that, then that account must come off. If they can't show you that they are legally able to collect on behalf of their original creditor, if they can't provide that information with you, just think, you know how many people have been scammed because they had a creditor a collection agency out there that they just send stuff out there, and people pay it. Come to find out, they paid an agency, but that agency wasn't legally able to collect on behalf of the creditor. So those are the things that you really, really, really have to take be wary of and be be careful about. And it happens every day. It happens every day. But by having all of this information and having me as a resource, so if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. And I'm here to answer your questions. Having information like that sincerely, it really helps. So there you have it, guys. So it's the perfect credit score kit. And if you have any questions, hey.
We are so grateful that you shared this information with us. I am looking forward to getting my book and all of the resources. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Did you guys enjoy all of the information?
Oh man, how do you get rid of a timeshare? Sharon wants to know, how do you get rid of timeshare? That's a good one. But you know what, Sharon? There is actually a agency, and I'll have to find that information for you as well. There is a company that does nothing but work with getting people out of timeshares. That right there, that one is tricky. That is really, really tricky. But there is a company out there that's a reputable company. I'm going to find that company for you. Let's see, Sharon, inbox me on Facebook if you can, to remind me, and I will make sure that I find that information for you. But yeah, there's a reputable company that does nothing but getting people out of timeshares, because that is a horrendous industry. Yeah. So. All right. Okay. So Miss Belton, once you go to the checkout, those downloads, you'll be able to get those downloads immediately. The business training one, I'll have that for you by Monday of next week, because I'll be actually going through and doing that one brand new. So the business training portion, you'll get that one by next Monday. But the other ones, the tracking document, the Word document, and the perfect credit score kit, once you make your purchase, you'll get the download for that immediately. Okay.
When you say, how do you pay for a class, which class are you talking about? The book, Sharon?
So the class, that one is going to actually be a video training, and you will see me actually walk through step by step how to establish the business part of it. So you will see me walk through it step by step. So that one would be actually emailed to you, or I'll send you the download for it, so you have it. So yeah, guys, this is all the information that you're going to need in order to establish your business credit, and be able to start addressing some personal credit issues that you want to get rid of. And we know, first of all, if we look at how much interest we're paying for our cars or credit cards, just by increasing your score by 50, 60, 70, 80 points, that could save you thousands of dollars in interest. So it's really important that that you find out how to do that. Get this system. I'll walk you through it, and if there's something that you need from me, you can always reach out to me directly. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, guys. I really, really appreciate it. I hope this information, I know how valuable, how many, it's helped so many other people. So I know what it can do for you. So I just, take advantage of it, grab it, and you won't be disappointed. And again, if you have any questions, you can always email me or inbox me directly. All right?
And y'all do us a favor. If you enjoyed the class, when you get off on your social media sites, y'all give Mr. Alex a shout out and tell him how you enjoyed the class. so that we can definitely send some people his way to get the information and to get the packets.
And
Thank you
awesome.
so much.
And Karen, thank you. I really appreciate you. Karen reached out, and I was surprised and shocked. But I always know, like I said, whatever Karen does, she does it in excellence, and it's gonna be decent and in order. And I did it with no hesitation, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Everybody be safe. Have any questions, email me, inbox me. All right.
Bless you.
Take care, Karen. Thank you.